Yes guys, and welcome to another video, and we've had yet another here we go tweet from none other than Fabrizio Romano. Now of course I do need to say that Fabrizio isn't always right, it isn't always gospel, things can change very quickly, but largely it means that there is definitely something in it. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about this man, someone who we have discussed on the channel quite a few weeks ago actually. I genuinely thought that this one was dead in the water, but Armand Lauriente is apparently close to signing a deal with Sunderland, but we will get into that. First of all, admin, if you do us a massive favour, you're enjoying the content, hit the like button for me. If you're new to the channel or you haven't yet subscribed, if you consider it for me, it'd also be massively appreciated. It puts a smile on my face as always. So thank you very much for that. If you are new to the channel, I appreciate you for subscribing recently. There has been a lot of you who have been listening and have been subscribing, so it is really, really appreciated for the support. So getting into it, Armand Lauriente, a player that we have discussed, as I mentioned earlier, on the channel before. He's currently playing for Sassuolo. I think he's 26, 27 years of age. Sassuolo did get promoted from Serie B last season, and he was the top goal scorer with 18 goals, and he had a good decent amount of assists as well. Now what I have said in the sort of previous video to this is when you have a look at his goal compilation, there are some very impressive goals, but just as many goals that look great. Some other ones you can really question the ability of the goalkeeper, which, you know, you can't take anything away from Armand for scoring the goals. You can only throw against what's in front of you. But he is primarily a left winger, but he can also play as a striker or on the right. So he is generally known as a forward. But if you ever look at the amount of games he's played and where he's played, I think over the last sort of 100 or so games, he's played sort of like 80, 81, maybe 82 games as a left winger. He's played a handful as a striker and a handful on the right-hand side as well. So that would question what would happen to the rest of the players that we've already got in those positions, because it would become a little bit crowded. But as I keep on saying in previous videos, that it would make for great competition. And you know, someone like Armand Lauriente, he has experience at this age. He's won Serie B twice. Once, of course, this earliest season with Sassuolo. He's won it with Lorient as well, where of course he did work alongside Regis Labrie, when I think around that time Regis would have been that he was sort of head of youth development, and of course he worked his way up the ranks and eventually became head coach of the first team there. So he is familiar with Regis, so it would make sense that we would have this link anyway. But according to Fabrizio, we have come to a deal worth around 20 million euros. Now, as we were just saying then about competition, of course, on the left-hand side, if he was to come on the left-hand side, we'd have Mundell there, Adingra, who's just signed, and then we'd have Lauriente as well, but like I said, he can play as a forward. On the right-hand side, we have Telby and Roberts. Lauriente could work on both sides and also add competition to the likes of Mayenda and Isidore up top. So I think we'd be pretty sound up top. But I would still like us to have a sort of out-and-out striker who's an informed, maybe even just another youth up-and-coming striker to come in, or an experienced striker. But then we would still be very, very heavy up at that top end of the pitch. So does that mean that someone's going to have to go? There has been rumours surrounding Romain Mundell. I did mention in the last video, I think it was, that Monaco are potentially preparing a bid for Romain Mundell. But since then, I think it may have even been yesterday morning, there was a report from Sky Sports suggesting that Sunderland are currently in touch with Mundell about a new deal. So I would love Mundell to stay, of course I would, but there is going to be a lot of competition this season, which is a good thing, and high calibre competition, not just players that are going to sit on the bench, are going to want to play, but whether Regis can manage the balance of trying to keep a bit of harmony within the squad, because like I said, it's going to be so heavy at that top end of the pitch at the moment. But I will show you the tweet by Fabrizio Romano anyway, just so we can get through that one. So Fabrizio has said, Armand Lauriente to Sunderland, here we go. Deal agreed with Sassuolo for French winger. Understand SAFC will pay 20 million euros fixed fee, no add-ons. Personal terms also agreed. New winger for Sunderland as planned. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that this is absolute gospel, because since then, Keith Dhannoo of Sky Sports has come forward and basically agreed with what Fabrizio said, although apparently the deal between the two clubs hasn't actually been agreed. They're very, very close, and they're very hopeful, and they're very confident we're going to get it over the line. However, it hasn't actually been agreed, and I think another North East reporter has, just a local journalist, has suggested the same thing after contacting the club. Apparently it is sort of close, they're confident of getting it done, but the deal isn't there. I think the personal terms have been agreed, but the deal between the clubs hasn't. So whether this happens, I don't know, but it is looking very likely. I would be very, very excited to see him. He's rapid, direct, skillful, and like I said, he's not like a 19-year-old who's just had a handful of games or someone who isn't truly tried and tested. He's got championships under his belt, albeit, you know, second division championships. So he is a winner. He's got that that hunger to win things, which is a sort of attribute in itself. And a very skillful player, very skillful. He knows where the goal is. And I've seen some of his free kicks as well, which I actually didn't notice through the last video I mentioned. Of course, I saw a lot of his goals were sort of cutting in from left to right, really skillful, really direct, and then put it in the far corner. A lot of them were those sort of goals. But I think over the years, he's really got a compilation in itself just on his free kicks, and almost hits him a little bit like Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, not as good, but that kind of technique, the sort of no backspin type thing that just kind of just moves around in the air and then flies into the corner. Of course, it's not going to happen every time, but yeah. So there's a lot to digest with this player, and I'd be very, very excited to see him come. And for 20 million euros as well, because I remember when we were first linked with him, it was rumoured to be around 23, 24 million euros plus add-ons, which could have bring it up to around 30 million euros. So if we did manage to get it at 20 million euros, which is what, 17, 18 million quid, with no add-ons, I think that would be an outstanding signing. Given that the lad's in form, it's not someone who was decent 3, 4, 5 years ago, and it's like the sort of the redemption arc that we Sunderland like to do over the years. We like to get sort of players who used to have a lot of potential, had a load of hype around, and maybe they've sort of dipped off a little bit, and then we try and bring them to Sunderland and redeem themselves like a lot of players have done. This lad is absolutely banging form, and he'd be ready to hit the ground running. So this is someone who I would love to see at the club. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this one. Now, there is a couple of other ones, right? Nothing really concrete, and I don't like doing the just sort of general loose rumours. As you guys know, I like to give you something that's from like Fabrizio or Sky Sports, so at least it's something somewhat legit to digest. But there has been a couple of loose rumours over the last hour or two. One of them being for centre-back, experienced centre-back, Diego Carlos, formerly of Aston Villa, Brazilian international, who I think is 32 years of age now. And I think it doesn't really surprise me, because it kind of fits the bill where I think they are trying to get a spine of experience now. Of course, Willick McGranit Xhaka at the moment, apparently we're trying to get a deal done for 8 to 10 million there for Granit Xhaka, which would be an insane deal for Sunderland. And then to get someone experienced at the back as well. Of course, I would prefer Lukumi there personally, but because he's 27 and I just think he's an outstanding player and we get several more years out of him. But another experienced head, a leader at the back, would be outstanding. And Diego Carlos, it kind of fits that bill. Loads of experience. But then just literally 2 minutes before the video, I started recording the video, should I say, we have been linked with Koulibaly, a centre-back. I think he's like 33, 34 years of age now. And I think it was about 6, 7 years ago, he was kind of touted to be one of the best centre-backs in the world. Of course, he had a stint at Chelsea, and he also made his name at Napoli, where he was absolutely outstanding. I think for many years he was linked with the likes of Manchester United, Manchester City. Then he went to Chelsea, had a season there, and now I think he's playing in the Saudi League at the moment, which it is what it is. But that would also fit the bill of an experienced centre-back. So I think we're slowly starting to see what we're going for at the back. I think we need a centre-back that is sort of ready to go and does have a few years left in him. But I do also understand having that real high caliber centre back that has played many years at the top level. So a Koulibaly or a Diego Carlos would kind of fit the bill. Yeah, they might only last a season or two, but they would absolutely fit the bill of what we're trying to do with the spine of the squad. So exciting times, guys. Of course, there's quite a lot there to digest there, but let me know in the comments down below what you think about everything we have gone over in this video. Apologies if it's a bit rushed. There isn't anything else to cover as of right now, but that is everything. Let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button for me if you have enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new. But for now, how are the lads? Keep the faith.